You can mute your mic. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Radhe Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Me Sada Gurave Sarvalokanam Vishaje Bhavaroginam Nidaye Sarvavidyanam Srinamurtaye Namaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Beda Vibhagine Vyomavatyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sakshat Krutam Dayanandam Paramarthasvarupinam Tattvajnana Prashastaram Pranatosmi Param Padam Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhetamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Hare Om. You can unmute your mic and repeat after me now. You can refer the text, the PDF which I sent before, because today I won't be able to open my PowerPoint. And make sure that background noise is not there. I can hear somebody's voice too louder, otherwise you can mute your mic. Saradama, you can please mute your mic. Background somebody's noise is so. अथ चतुर्विंशति तत्त्वोत्पत्ति प्रकारं वक्ष्यामः Yeah, you can repeat.
Okay, one more time. I had to get to the page.
Okay. अथ चतुर्विंशति तत्त्वोत्पत्ति प्रकारं वक्ष्यामः
अथ चतुर्विंशति didn't get the page. I had to repeat after you.
Otherwise, you can repeat after me.
Okay. Yeah, I think we will repeat after you. I have to figure out my page. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can repeat after me. You know the text they are chanted before, so you can repeat. Atha Chaturvimshati.
Atha Chaturvimshati.
Tattva Utpatti Prakaram.
Tattva Utpatti Prakaram.
Vakshyamaha. Saradama, please sing background noise just here. I can hear Ram's voice, so you can mute your mic. There is no choice. ब्रह्माश्रया
ब्रह्माश्रया
सत्वरजस्तमो गुणात्मिका
तत्त्वरजस्तमो गुणात्मिका
माया अस्ति
माया अस्ति
ततः आकाशः सम्भूतः
ततः आकाशः सम्भूतः
आकाशात् वायुः
आकाशात् वायुः
वायोस्तेजः
वायोस्तेजः
तेजस आपः
तेजस आपः
अद्यः पृथिवी
अभ्यः पृथिवी
अद्भ्यः पृथिवी
अभ्यः पृथिवी
एतेषां पञ्चतत्त्वानां मध्ये
एतेषां पञ्चतत्त्वानाम्
अग्ने
आकाशस्य सात्विकांशात्
आकाशस्य सात्विका
श्रोत्रेन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
श्रोत्रेन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
वायोः सात्विकांशात्
वायोः सात्विकांशात्
त्वगिन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
त्वगिन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
अग्नेः सात्विकांशात्
अग्नेः
सात्विकांशात्
चक्षुरिन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
चक्षुरिन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
जलस्य सात्विकांशात्
जलस्य सात्विकांशात्
रसनेन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
रसनेन्द्रियं सम्भूतम् नौ I got it. Sorry.
पृथिव्याः सात्विकांशात्
पृथिव्याः सात्विकांशात्
घ्राणेन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
घ्राणेन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
एतेषां
पञ्चतत्त्वानां
समष्टिसात्विकांशात्
समष्टिसात्विकांशात्
मनोबुद्धि अहङ्कारचित्त
मनोबुद्धि अहङ्कार चित्त
अन्तःकरणानि सम्भूतानि
अन्तःकरणानि सम्भूतानि
सङ्कल्पविकल्पात्मकं मनः
सङ्कल्पविकल्पात्मकं मनः
निश्चयात्मिका बुद्धिः
निश्चयात्मिका बुद्धिः
अहङ्कर्ता अहङ्कारः
अहङ्कर्ता अहङ्कारः
चिन्तनकर्तृ चित्तम्
चिन्तनकर्तृ चित्तम्
मनसो देवता चन्द्रमाः
मनसो देवता चन्द्रमाः
बुद्धेः ब्रह्मा
बुद्धेः ब्रह्मा
अहङ्कारस्य रुद्रः
अहङ्कारस्य रुद्रः
चित्तस्य वासुदेवः
चित्तस्य वासुदेवः
एतेषां पञ्चतत्त्वानां मध्ये
एतेषां पञ्चतत्त्वानां मध्ये
आकाशस्य राजसांशात्
आकाशस्य राजसांशात्
वागीन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
वागिन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
वायोः राजसांशात्
वायोः राजसांशात्
पाणीन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
पाणीन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
वह्नेः राजसांशात्
वह्नेः राजसांशात्
पादेन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
पादेन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
जलस्य राजसांशात्
जलस्य राजसांशात्
बुधेन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
बुधेन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्
पृथिव्या
I have upasthendriyam samhrutam. Yeah. Prithivya.
No problem.
Okay. Prithivya
rajasamshat.
Prithivya rajasamshat.
Upasthendriyam sambhutam.
Upasthendriyam sambhutam.
When we saw this text, I told that it can be, in some books it is given,
Yes,
the
I remember.
Budhendriyam, Upasthendriyam, they are interchanged. There is no problem with that.
Okay.
Etesham samashti rajasamshat.
Etesham samashti rajasamshat.
Pancha pranaha sambhutaha.
Pancha pranaha sambhutaha.
Etesham panchatattvanam.
Etesham panchatattvanam.
Tamasamshat.
Tamasamshat.
Panchīkrita panchatatvāni bhavanti.
Panchīkrita panchatatvāni bhavanti.
The last class we saw what is Panchīkaranam. Panchīkaranam katham iti chet.
Panchīkaranam katham iti chet.
Etesham panchamahabhutanam.
Etesham panchamahabhutanam.
Tamasamshasvarupam.
Tamasamshasvarupam.
Ekam bhutam dvidha vibhajya.
Ekam bhutam dvidha vibhajya.
Ekam ardham pratak tushtim vyavasthavya.
Ekam ardham prathak tushnim vyavasthavya.
Aparam ardham chaturdha vibhajya.
Aparam ardham chaturdha vibhajya.
Svardham vinneshu ardheshu.
Svardham vinneshu ardheshu.
Svabhaga chatushtaya sanyojanam karyam.
Svabhaga chatushtaya sanyojanam karyam.
Tatha panchīkaranam bhavati.
Tatha panchīkaranam bhavati.
एतेभ्यः पंचीकृत पंचमहाभूतेभ्यः
पंचीकृत पंचमहाभूतेभ्यः
स्थूलशरीरं भवति. एवं पिण्डब्रह्माण्डयोः ऐक्यं सम्भूतम्. Can mute your mic now. We have seen so far in Sukshma Bhautika Srishti. In Sukshma Bhautika Srishti. You know what is Bhautikam? You know the difference between the Bhutam and the Bhautikam. Bhutam means elements. Bhautikam is elementals. That which is made from Bhutam is Bhautikam. So in Sukshma Bhautika Srishti, So we have seen so far that each sense organ, Jnanendriyani, it is born from the Sattva Guna of each element. And Antakaranam, that is the inner instrument, which is divided into four based on the function, the functional name. It is born of Sattva Guna of all the five elements. Samashti Sattva, Samashti Tattva Amshat Antakaranam Sambhutani. And Pancha Karmendriyas, Pancha Karmendriyani, they are born from the Rajoguna of each Bhuta element. And the Prana is very important for karma. The function for the life, Prana is important, and the Prana, it is born from the Rajoguna of all the elements. So, from this Tattvaguna sense organ, from the total Sattvaguna Antakaranam, from the Rajoguna Panchakarmendriya, and from the total Rajoguna Prana is born. So this is how the Sukshma Sharira Srishti, and from that we can also infer Sukshma Prapancha Srishti. It is born. From Sukshma Sthula is going to be born. That also we have seen. After Sukshma Srishti, Sthula Srishti, we have seen. So from first is Sukshma and then Sthula. And what contributes for Sthula Srishti? Sattva and Rajas, they contributed for the Sukshma Srishti. Now Rajoguna is accounted for Sthula Srishti because that is the only guna of each element is left out. So, and since Maya is made of these three gunas, therefore that which is born of Maya also inherits the three gunas. And from that, Sattva and Rajas, they have contributed for Sukshma Srishti. And what is left out is only Tamoguna, and Tamoguna will be accounted for Sthula Srishti. Therefore, Tamoguna of all the elements will contribute for Sthula Srishti. And this Tamo Amsha, Tamoguna of all the elements, they undergo Panchikaranam process, which we saw in detail in the last class. Panchikaranam is a compounding process. We have dealt with Panchikaranam in detail, the PowerPoint, and so we don't have to focus on that. I hope you understand. Therefore, we will move on. So, it undergoes Panchikaranam process, and by the Panchikaranam process, Sthula Bhutas, Sthula Bhutani Sambhutani. Sthula Bhutas are born. And from these Pancha Sthula Bhutas, Sthula Bhautikani is born. Sthula Bhautikani is a product which is a combination of all the five gross elements. Sthula Bhutas are Sthula Akasha, Sthula Vayu, what you see, what you perceive with your senses. There are Sthula Bhutas. And that is, which is a combination of all the Sthula Bhutas, is the Sthula Bhautika. So, Sthula Bhutas and Sthula Bhautikas are born. Etebhyaha Panchikrita Panchavaha Bhutebhyaha Sthula Shariram Bhavati. So, from this Sthula Bhuta, Sthula Shariram Bhavati. Sthula Shariram is made of all the five elements. And therefore, it is Sthula Bhautikam. Sthula Shariram is Sthula Bhautikam because it is made of all the five elements. All the five elements are present in the Sthula Shariram. And what about Sthula Prapancham? Sthula Prapancham is gross universe. When Vyashti is formed, from Vyashti we can infer Samashti. From the individual we can infer the total because both are simultaneous. We cannot separate them. So, Stula Prapancham. Stula Prapancham is also Stula Bhautikam. When we say Stula Shariram is born, Stula Prapancham is also born. It is understood. Thus, from the Stula Bhutas, Stula Shariram and Stula Prapancham are born. The gross physical universe has come into existence. And the gross physical universe is nothing, it just consists of the Stula Shariram, individual, Veshti, that also are born. As Stula Shariram is made of 5 elements, gross 5 elements, Stula Pancha Mahabhutani, Stula Prapancham is also made of gross 5 elements. So far in the Srishti Prakaranam, we have seen Maya Stagita Brahmanaha सूक्ष्मभूतेभ्यः सूक्ष्मभौतिकं सम्भूतानि सूक्ष्मभौतिकं स्थूलभूतानि अपि सम्भूतानि स्थूलभूतेभ्यः स्थूलभौतिकं भवति from the Maya Sagita Brahma along with Maya, subtle elements are born. From the subtle elements, subtle elementals are born. That is, Sukshma Bhotikas are born. We have seen all these things sequentially. So, that is, Sukshma Bhotikas are born from the Sukshma Bhutas, and Sukshma Bhutas were born from Maya Sagita Brahma. From Brahma alone, that all these things are born. Now, what is the example for the subtle elementals, Sukshma Bhotika? Sukshma Bhotika is the combination of the Sukshma Bhutas. Therefore, what is the example? The example is Sukshma Shariram. The example for Sukshma Bhutas are Akasha, Vayu, Agnihi, Apaha, iti, that we know. And what about Sukshma Bhautika? Sukshma Bhautikasya Udharanam Sukshma Shariram. Sukshma Shariram is made of all these components, 19 components which we have seen. They are nothing but they are born from the Sukshma Bhutas. Therefore, that is Sukshma Bhautika. Sukshma Shariram is made of Jnanendriya, Karmendriya. They all put together form Sukshma Shariram. Therefore, Sukshma Shariram is Sukshma Bhautikam. And Sukshma Prapancham is also Sukshma Bhautikam. At the total level, Sukshma Prapancham is also Sukshma Bhautikam. In the creation process, the first step is the formation of Sukshma Bhuta. From the Sukshma Bhuta, Sukshma Bhautika is born. That is the first step. Then the second step is from the Sukshma Bhutas, Stula Bhutas are born. From the Stula Bhutas, Stula Bhautikas are born. And what is the example for Stula Bhautikam? Stula Shariram. Stula Shariram is made of all the 5 gross elements. Therefore, it is Stula Bhautikam. Stula Prapancham is also made of Stula Bhuta only. Therefore, Stula Prapancham is also Stula Bhautikam. So, from Sukshma Bhutas to Sukshma Bhautika, and from Sukshma Bhutas to Stula Bhutas and Stula Bhautika, these are the sequence in the creation process. These are the steps. So we have seen in detail the creation. Nothing new we have learned today, but everything we have seen before. So now the question is, who is the creator? If I ask you, who is the creator? It is Ishvara with Maya Upadhi. For creation, we have to bring Maya. That is the Upadana Karanam. And what is the Nimitta Karanam? Ishvara. Therefore, when we ask who is the creator, it is Ishvara with Maya Upadi. That is the Karanam. And we have seen Maya. Maya, with two aspects of Maya we have seen. Maya with Sattva Guna, Sattvam, Shuddha Sattva Pradhana Maya. That is Maya which is not overpowered by the other two gunas. That is Rajas and Tamas. This is one aspect of Maya. Shuddha Sattva Pradhanam. And the other one is Maya which has Sattvam, but it is Malina Sattva Pradhana. Malina Sattva Pradhana. That is, it is overpowered by Sattva, which is overpowered by Rajas and Tamas. That is Malina Sattva Pradhana. And the creation has come out of Malina Sattva Pradhana Maya only. The creation, the Srishti, has come out of Malina Sattva Pradhana Maya only. That is Rajas and Tamas, which overpowers the Sattva. That is Malina Sattva Pradhana Maya. That is the source of creation. And Ishvara is all knowledge. Ishvara, who is a Srishtikarta, he has all knowledge. Therefore, he is Sarvajna. And he is Sattva Guna Pradhana. And Jiva, who is the Bimba, Pratibimba of Ishvara, he has also Sattva Guna, but Sattva stands for knowledge. So Ishvara is all knowledge, Sarvajna, and Jiva has knowledge, but not that much knowledge. So Jiva has little knowledge, a little knowledge. Similarly, plants and other beings also have knowledge, but the knowledge is negligible. And when it comes to Jada Vastu, they have no knowledge. It means no Sattvam. It means no Sattvam. Therefore, the variation in this degree of Sattvam, it accounts for the variation in the knowledge. And the cause for the creation is this Malina Sattva Pradhana Maya. And then the author said, after discussing the Srishti process, he said, Evam Pinda Brahmanda Yogo Aikyam Sambhutam. Now the creation has come. After the talking about the creation process, then the author, he says, there is Aikyam, there is oneness between the individual and the Jagat. The individual that is called Vyashti. Instead of Vyashti, he uses the word Pinda, Pindam. And the total, which is Samashti, for that he uses the word Brahmanda. So Pinda and Brahmanda. Between these two, there is Aikyam. Pinda Brahmanda Yogo Aikyam. And this is the next topic of Tattvabodha after this Srishti Vichara. So Aikyam is there. That is, there is essential identity between the individual and the total. At all the levels, at the Stula level also, Sukshma level and Karana level also. At all levels, there is Aikyam between the individual and the total. For example, wave is water. Wave is nothing but water. Wave has nothing but Nama and Rupa. Essentially, it is water. And ocean is also water. Wave is Pinda, Vyashti. Ocean is Samashti, Brahmanda. So there is Aikyam, essential oneness between the wave and the ocean. Therefore, wave cannot be different from the ocean, essentially. You cannot remove the wave from the ocean. If you remove wave from the ocean will not be there. Therefore, Aikyam is there. In the same way, between the individual, that is Vyashti, which is called Jivatma, and the Samashti, the total, which is called Paramatma, Jiva Paramatma Yogo, Aikyam Asti. There is oneness between the Jivatma and the Paramatma. This recognition of the truth of this Aikyam, the essential oneness, that is the Tatparyam of the Shastra. That is the main teaching. The Srishti, that the topic of creation, that is not important. That is secondary. That is not the main teaching at all. We are not interested in how the Srishti has come about. But we have to talk about Srishti to bring home this truth, the Tatparyam of the Shastra, which is establishing the Aikyam, that essential oneness between the Jivatma and the Paramatma. Because Jivatma is in problem, is in bondage. He feels insecure, he is not happy, he is not at home with himself, he is in samsara. Therefore, we have to make the Jivatma understand that he is not different from Ishvara. That is the teaching of the Shastra. So all the other things are only supportive things. Therefore, no Tatparyam in the Srishti Prakaran. We cannot hold on to the Srishti. This is how the Srishti has come. No, that is not our intention also. Whether you believe in what Shastram says about creation or not, it doesn't matter at all. Because it is not a Tatparyam of the Shastram. In fact, you can have your own idea about the creation model. That is why in Tattvabodha you see 5 bhutas, Panchikaranam, whereas in other Upanishad, Chandogya, they talk about only 3 elements. That is Trivit Karanam. Like Panchikaranam, the 5 elements undergoing compounding process. In Chandogya, it is Trivit Karanam, only 3 elements which undergoes compounding process. And then how can it be 5 in one place and 3 in other place? Is it not a contradiction? That itself clearly shows that is not the Tatparyam of the Shastra. The Srishti, when Shastram talks about Srishti, that is not the intended meaning or the idea of the Shastra. That is why when the scientists they propose new theory of evolution, we don't object because Shastram doesn't condemn those models because it is not the scope of Shastram. Shastram being a Pramanam, the Pramanatvam lies only in this, in establishing this, in establishing the knowledge which is not available for the other means of knowledge. When the creation process and the model, when it's available for other Pramanam, let other Pramanam do the job. That is, Shastram doesn't have to poke his nose there. Therefore, for creation, Shastram is not a Pramanam. Shastram presents a model. That's all. It is not a Tatparyam. And since creation is also Nitya, therefore, we can dismiss the creation also. Because nothing has been really created. When you say a pot is created, does the pot really come into existence? No. A pot is nothing but a clay, Nama and Rupa. If you remove Nama and Rupa, what is there is nothing but clay. So Nama Rupa comes and goes, but clay remains forever. And that is what the Shastra wants to convey. So when creation itself is dismissed, then what is the significance of this creation model? Nothing. Creation is Nitya. That we must understand. It is enough to understand that the creation is Nitya and Jivatma Paramatma Yogo Aikyam Bhavati. In one place, Bhagavad says that let us not waste our time in discussing unimportant things. What is important is to understand that the essential nature, that Swarupam of the Creator, that is Ishvara, is same as that of myself, the Jivatma. There is no difference. The difference is also Nitya. When it is Nitya, it can be dismissed. In the pot world, there are no differences between the pots. There are so many pots are there. There are small pots, there are big pots, there are other different sizes of pots, but all the pots are nothing but clay. The difference may be there in utility, but the real Swarupam is what? Clay. That is the Tattvabodha. Okay. So up to this, we have seen the previous class. Jiva Brahmanda Yoga Aikyam. Now the author moves to the next sentence, which I will read. You can repeat after me. You can unmute your mic now. Stula Sharira Abhimani.
Stula Sharira Abhimani.
Jivanamakam Brahma Pratibimbam Bhavati Sayeva Jivaha Prakrutya Swasmat Ishvaram Bhinnatvena Janati. Okay. They will see the meaning of this sentence. Simple Sanskrit sentence. All these are. I'll give the general meaning, then we will see in detail the meaning. The one who has identification with the Stula Shariram, that is physical body, is a Jiva, Jivaha, Jivatma. And Jiva is nothing but the reflection of Brahma, Brahma Pratibimbam Bhavati. Sayeva Jivaha Prakrutya, that same Jiva by Prakrutya, by nature, Swasmat Ishvaram Bhinnatvena Janati. He understands that Ishvara is different from oneself. So this is the meaning of this sentence. Now we will see in detail. Jivaha. So who is a Jiva? That Stula Sharira Abhimani Atma is a Jiva. Stula Shariram is not Jiva. That Stula Sharira, because Stula Shariram is what? It is Jadam. Stula Shariram is Jadam. That Abhimani Atma is a Jiva. The Stula Sharira Abhimani Atma, that is the I. I is capital I, within quote, that I which identifies with the Stula Shariram, it is Jiva, myself. So this I, it up to Stula Shariram, that I identifies. That is starting with Karana Shariram, Sukshma Shariram onwards, it identifies with all the components, the whole thing. So it identifies, this I identifies with all this Shariram. Everything in the world, everything external to the body, they are not included in I. So they are excluded. So anything other than me, other than external to the body, they are excluded, and everything else is included in this I. That I identifies with them. Therefore, the Stula Sharira Abhimana, that identification, when you say there is identification with this Stula Shariram, it means it includes Sukshma Shariram also. Because identification with Stula Shariram is possible only through Sukshma Shariram. And this Stula Sharira Abhimani Atma, it takes on all the qualities of Stula Shariram. That is very clear by the language. When he says I am tall, I am short, it means that Abhimana with Stula Shariram is there. And Stula Sharira Abhimani Atma, when we say that includes Sukshma Shariram also. That is the quality of oneself, Agam Buddhiman, and all the things. So I forget, I got angry. So all the emotions, all the functions of the Buddhi, everything everything has the Abhimana. Therefore, the person, the Jiva, he doesn't see himself more than what the physical body is. He doesn't know the real Atma. So that person is called Jiva. Jiva Namakaha. Jiva Namakam. That person has a name Jiva. Jivaha. Jivatma. And this Jiva is nothing but, really speaking, is Satchit Ananda Brahma. The Satchit Ananda Brahma alone is Jiva because of this Abhimanam, because of this identification. This Jiva, the person, is conscious of this, the thought, I notion, is conscious of the mind, is conscious of the senses, the physical body. All this he is conscious of. And also he identifies with the I notion, identifies with the mind, the senses, and the physical body. And this, the consciousness, that is the Chaitanyam, which is enjoyed by this I notion and this body mind sense complex, that consciousness is Brahman, it is Satchit Ananda Atma. But it identifies with the so many things, therefore it becomes a Jiva, as though Jiva. Really speaking, it doesn't become Jiva, as though Jiva. So with reference to the I thought, we say that is that consciousness is reflected consciousness. With reference to the I thought, at Abhimana, we say it is reflected consciousness. The consciousness is as though conditioned by the I thought and the various notions which the Jiva has as reflected consciousness. In Sanskritam we say Chidabhasaha. Important word. Chidabhasaha. Chit Abhasaha. Every thought which occurs in your mind, it is not I. You don't take it as the I. There are so many thoughts which comes to your mind and goes. You look at an object of a thought, this thought, that is the pot thought, the flower thought, all the thoughts comes and goes. But there is one being which is constant. Who is that? What is that? That is the consciousness. But it identifies with so many thoughts. Then it becomes a Jiva. He becomes the knower. He becomes the subject. Therefore, it is said Jiva is a reflection of Brahma. Jivaha Brahma Pratibimbaha Bhavati. So really speaking, therefore, Jiva is not Stula Shriram or Sukma Shriram. Jiva is a conscious being. And that conscious being, it identifies with so many things, becomes a Jiva. Okay. And this consciousness, how does the Jiva become a conscious being? This because that the Antakarana, in the mind, the consciousness is present. Consciousness is reflected. Consciousness, that is Chaitanyam, is everywhere. Chaitanyam is not only in the mind, it is everywhere. But in the mind, it is reflected. This is a particular model, particular prakriya we use. This I thought, that I sense is a thought. That is not separate from the consciousness. The whole mind is not separate from the Chaitanya consciousness. This non-separation from consciousness with reference to the thought or anything for that matter, it's called Pratibimbam. It is called Pratibimbam. This is a particular prakriya, Tattvabodha, which is useful and it has some limitations also. There are different types of prakriyas, that methods are available to reveal the nature of the Atma, and one of the prakriya is Pratibimbavada. Pratibimbavada. Any thought which comes, it is not independent of the consciousness. Any thought which occurs in your mind, which comes and goes in your mind, it is not independent of consciousness. So consciousness is Satyam, and thought which comes and goes, it is Mithya. Therefore, the presence of consciousness is there in the thought. In every thought, the presence of consciousness, it is there. It is called Pratibimbam, the reflection. We call it a reflection. Why? Because thought is nothing but a name and form. It is Mithya. Being Mithya, really speaking, thought has no being at all. Nature of thought is nothing but consciousness, Chaitanya. Therefore, what is the source of consciousness? There cannot be anything other than Brahma. Therefore, consciousness, the source of consciousness, is Brahma, which obtaining the Antakaranam, it is called Pratibimba. Therefore, Jiva is Pratibimba. And another word is Chit Abhasaha. So, Jiva is also called Chidabhasaha. Jiva is Brahma Pratibimba, which means Jiva is what? Really, the Jivatvam is Nitya, is nothing but Chaitanyam, consciousness, which is Swarupa. This Ahankara and all, it's all purely Mithya. So, this is the teaching of the Shastram. And here I want to tell some important point. The word Pratibimba, when you translate, the translation is reflection. But this word Pratibimba itself will create a lot of problems in your understanding. So you have to be careful with what it means really. When you say Pratibimba, that is reflection, when you say, it will bring in the medium of reflection. For example, the sun reflects in the mirror, suppose. Let us say the reflection of the sun in the mirror. The sun is the bimba. It is the original image. And the reflection, what you see in the mirror, that is reflected sun, that is the pratibimba. So sun is there and pratibimbam is there. Sun is the original bimba. And pratibimba, its reflection is the reflected sun in the mirror. Then what about the mirror? Mirror is the reflecting media. So now you will think, so reflecting media is there. That is the antakaranam is there. That mind is there. Now you will ask, is the mind different from the sun? The mind, that is the reflecting media, is it different from the sun? Because we say everything is Brahma. Now the reflecting media is there. It reflects the sun. So it should be different from the sun. All this problem will come when you understand, when you deal with this prakriya, the Pratibimbavada. So what we say is, the medium is also Brahma only. That medium is also Brahma. In the example, the mirror is the medium, whereas for a jiva, it is antakaranam is the medium, and the antakaranam chaitanyam is reflected. Antakaranam is also Brahma only. If what happens if antakaranam, that medium is Brahma, then the problem comes. Whether if it is Brahma, then becomes Satya, but it is not Satyam. It is Mithya only. If it is Mithya, then what is the reflection in the antakaranam? That is also Mithya. Reflection in antakaranam, that is a medium, that is also Mithya. Therefore, everything being Mithya, then what is Satyam? Satyam is only Brahma. That is what it is. See, all the reflection or the reflective media, they are all Mithya only. That is what the Shastra. That is the the limitation this model has, but the model has to be understood properly. So we cannot, think that reflecting in media is different, and and from the source, that image, that bimba, we cannot think like that. That reflection, we are going. What we say is, what we want to establish is Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. We want to establish that. What is here is only Ishvara. What is here is only Chaitanyam. That we want to establish. For that we give a model, and the model has certain limitations. And when you understand what Mithya is, then there will be no problem in understanding the model. Therefore, here the Pratibhimbam is also Nitya, because the essential nature of the Pratibimba, that is Jiva, is nothing but Brahma, the Chaitanyam. Therefore, the Jiva becomes conditioned because of this Abhimana, that Brahma becomes conditioned as though a Jiva. So, Jiva is essentially not separate from the Brahma Chaitanyam. If the Jiva takes himself to be Chaitanyam, then the Jiva will see only Advaita, oneness, Aikyam. The moment the Jiva misses the Chaitanyam and comes to the level of body, mind, sense complex, then all the Vedas will come, all the differences will come. The difference from between one individual to the other individual, and from the individual to the Jagat, and all these differences will arise. Jiva, Jiva, Veda, I am different from you, you are different from somebody, everybody is different from everybody else. But Jiva, Jiva, Veda will come, and Jiva, Jagat, Veda will come. I am different from the Jagat, and Jiva, Ishvara, Veda also will come. Jiva is different from Ishvara. So all these Veda will come, but all these Vedas are yeah. Therefore, Saha eva Jivaha. Sa eva means that Brahma Chaitanyam, who is now Stula Sharira Abhimani, is the Jiva. But the Jiva doesn't know he is the Brahma Chaitanyam. Why? Because Prakritya, by nature means without thinking. His Swabhava is by his Swabhava, because of not thinking, due to self-ignorance, Swasmat Ishvaram Bhinnatvena Janati. Swasmat Ishvaram Bhinnatvena. He thinks, he claims that he is different from Ishvara. That Jiva Ishvara Veda. Jiva Ishvara Veda is Jiva Jiva Veda also, Jiva Jagat Veda also. All these differences will arise because of the self-ignorance, Ajnanam. And this Ajnanam is not the creation of Jiva. It is his Swabhava. It is his nature. It is because of non-inquiry, not handling or not knowing the pramana, the means of knowledge, and also not inquiring the questions and clarifying the doubts and not doing vichara, lack of all these things, it has made the jiva to conclude that he is different from Ishvara. And he looks upon Ishvara as Jagat Karanam Brahma, as something different from himself. Therefore, Ishvara becomes a creator, he becomes a sustainer and the dissolver. He is total, he is complete, and the Jiva is separate from Ishvara. Jiva thinks I am separate from Ishvara. So, this is the Swabhava of the Jiva. So, the Jiva thinks I am not the part of, I am not Ishvara. There are some people who have this idea that Ishvara is not separate from you, but you are separate from Ishvara. That is, they say we are only a fraction of Ishvara. There are some people who propound such ideas. Ishvara includes you, but you don't include Ishvara in you. You are only a spark, a divine spark. Somebody used to say that divine spark. This spark, that's philosophy, that it comes from the notion that I am a part of Ishvara, but I am not Ishvara. Like, they give the example. A leaf is included in the tree. A leaf, it is a part of the tree, but it is not the tree. This is what they say. There is some truth in this example, but that is not correct. From the leaf standpoint, you can say definitely that leaf is not the tree. Leaf is only a part of the tree. It cannot become the tree. But here, in Advaita, what we say is that example will not hold good. That is not correct. It is that Jiva, Ishvara, Bheda, if it is there, then moksha it is not possible. Moksha is impossible. The very effort of all the Jiva to become free is futile. If this is so, if Jiva is different from Ishvara, then moksha becomes an impossibility. Moksha is possible. That is, freedom is possible only when you understand that Jiva is nothing but Ishvara. And therefore, you have to know that I am Brahman, which is Ishvara. If you say I am a fraction, whereas Ishvara is so glorious, then what happens? Then you remain where you are. You remain a bhakta forever. In fact, that is not bhakti. You cannot be away from Ishvara. That knowledge, that jnanam, that jnani is a real bhakta. Even Bhagavan Krishna says in the Gita, jnani tu atmaiva me mato. Because you take Ishvara to be away from you by your svabhava, by your prakritya. Prakritya means due to ignorance alone. That is without any vichara, inquiry. You take yourself to be a limited jiva by prakritya, and this svabhava, this notion, it is not only to a particular jiva, it is universal. Everybody has this self-ignorance. Uniformly, everyone is committing the mistake of taking the physical body to be oneself, and all the qualities of the physical body and the subtle body to be oneself. And one doesn't take the other physical body, the qualities of the other physical body to be oneself, because the Sukshma Sharira is identified with only one physical body. Therefore, Jiva also confines himself to be with the physical body. Everything other than the physical body is different from it. This is the Swabhava, that is the thinking of the Jiva. And therefore, when the Jiva becomes a condition by such notion, then the Jiva feels that he is in samsara, is not free. The world is so big and the Jiva is a small thing. He has to transact with the whole world. He is an object, he is a subject, and the whole world is the object. He has to transact with the whole world of objects, and the poor subject is going to be in problem and is going to struggle. The whole life he has to struggle to be free from the whole jagat, which is there are so many objects in the jagat which is going to condition him. Therefore, it's a problem. The jiva will be in samsara, he will be in sorrow, and he will be conditioned, he will be limited. But the jiva, he never gives us the hope to be free. That itself clearly shows that limitation, that notion of limitation, cannot be my true nature. That very idea that the jiva wants to become free, that itself is a proof that jiva, it is free. It has the quality, it has the ability to become free. And the jiva also has experience of freedom in certain moments of joy. In deep sleep, the jiva experiences an happiness, experiences freedom from problems. Therefore, there is a hope for the jiva that it is going to discover that when the jiva comes to study the Shastram and understand that all that here is Bhagavan, and Bhagavan has no limits, and he is not separate from Ishvara, then the jiva doesn't have to become free because he is not separate from Bhagavan. That very knowledge removes the ignorance, that basic nature of the jiva. That svabhava goes away by the awake of knowledge. Like the clouds goes away when the sun rises. So similarly, the clouds covering the sun, when it moves away, the sun shines gloriously. So too, in the wake of knowledge, the jiva realizes his nature. So therefore, this ignorance is the problem which covers the real nature of the jiva. Prakritya swasmat vinnatvena ishvaram janati. So prakritya is swabhavena, by nature. And really speaking, there is no difference in essence, but that there is difference only from the standpoint of this body, mind, sense complex. From the upadhi standpoint only there is difference. From the essential nature, from the essential point of view, that jiva is not separate from Brahma. And as a jiva, we all have individual upadhi, and Ishvara as total upadhi, samashti upadhi. So, since upadhi is nitya, whether it is yashti or total, and this by knowledge you can understand that with all this upadhi is nitya. After negating the individual upadhi and the samashti upadhi, what remains is only the Brahma Chaitanyam, that is the Atma Chaitanyam, the pure consciousness, and the jiva realizes that he is Atma, not separate from Brahma. That Aikya Jnanam Sambhutam. Really speaking, there is neither jiva nor Ishvara. Jiva exists because of individual upadhi, and Ishvara is there because of samashti upadhi. Essentially, they are one. They exist only conditionally, and the condition is Nitya. The condition being avidya and maya. Since they are Nitya, therefore there is Aikyam. So there is only one Chaitanyam. And if you see the whole presentation, it is so beautifully done by the author. The author, it talks of jiva. In the beginning, it talks of jiva. Then he talks about the srishti, the creation process. Then he talked about the Ishvara. Then Ishvara, Jiva, that Veda, he talked about. And how it is born of ignorance, that Ajnana. That also he talked about. If you see the sequence of presentation, starting from Jiva and going up to the Ishvara Jiva Veda, now he has established that Veda is because of Ajnanam, and essentially Jiva Veda Nasti. Jiva Veda Yoho, Jiva Ishvara Yoho, Veda Nasti. That he establishes now. Now after this, he comes to the topic of samsara. Samsara is the next topic. What is samsara? Samsara is a life of becoming. That is samsara. I want to become free. That is samsara. You are already free. Wanting to become anything for that matter. It is nothing but samsara only. So the author, the next sentence, he says, avidya upadhisan atma jivaha iti uchyate. That is jiva. Who is jiva? That atma, the Brahma, which is conditioned by or associated with vidya upadhi, it is called jiva. That atma which is conditioned by avidya upadhi. Avidya is ignorance. That is the upadhi for the jiva. The jiva is a jiva because of this avidya upadhi. and Jiva is Satchit Ananda Atma in reality. He becomes a Jiva due to this Upadhi. His Swarupa is Chaitanyam, and that Chaitanyam is Sat Chit Ananda, and therefore the Chaitanya Atma, it becomes a Jiva due to Avidya alone. And Avidya is the Avarana, it is a cover. It covers the Buddhi and makes the Jiva consider himself to be this physical body, mind, and senses. And the mistaken notion is called Avidya. The mistaken notion, as well as the cause of the notion, is called Avidya. Therefore, Avidya Upadiki Atma Jivaha Uchyate. And who is Ishvara? Maya Upadhisan Atma Ishvaraha Uchyate. The Upadhi of Ishvara is Maya. Maya Upadhi. In both the sentence, if you see, the author has used only the word Atma. Ishvara is also the same Atma alone. He uses only the word Atma. So, Maya Upadhisan Atma Ishvaraha and Avidya Upadhisan Atma Jiva. That what is there is only Brahman. Brahman is Sachidananda, that is Atma. That Sachidananda Atma due to Avidya is Jiva, and due to Maya it is Ishvara. It is Avidya and Maya, they are Mithya. Because of Maya Upadhi, which is Sattva Pradhana, Ishvara doesn't have Avidya. Ishvara doesn't have Ajnana. Whereas, what about Jiva? Jiva is not Sattva Pradhana. In Jiva, it is Marina Sattva Pradhana. Yes, Ajnanam is there in Jiva. Therefore, Jiva, it comes under the control of Maya. Whereas, Maya is under the control of Ishvara. Whereas, Jiva, being not pure Sattva Pradhana, therefore, he comes under the control of Maya. Therefore, Ishvara is a lord of Maya, whereas Maya is a lord of Jiva because of this Upadhi, Veda, and also Jiva, Ishvara being Sarvajna, all knowledge, because he is Sattva Pradhana, Maya doesn't condition him. Whereas for the Jiva, Avidya conditions. Atma, Vidya conditions the Atma to be a limited Jiva. So therefore, Ishvara and Maya, it continues. Whether you are enlightened or not, as long as your body, mind, sense complex is there, Maya and Ishvara, they continue. That is not the cause for our bondage. The cause for our bondage is Vidya, the Ajnana. Sthula Shariram is not the cause for the bondage. The Sukma Sharira also not the cause for the bondage. The cause for the bondage is nothing but Ajnana, that ignorance. That ignorance goes away in the wake of the knowledge that Ishvara and Brahma, Ishvara and the Jiva, they are not different. So that ignorance is there only because of this Avidya Upadhi. On the wake of knowledge, this Avidya Upadhi melts away and the Jiva identifies with the Brahma. Then he becomes a Jivan Mukta. He becomes a Jnani. After becoming Jnani, what will happen? Will his body just melts away? No. The body of the Jivan Mukta continues as long as his karma is not exhausted. The Jivan Mukta, the person who has gained the Jnanam, he will continue to live as long as his prarabdha karma is there. As long as the prarabdha karma is not exhausted, he will continue to live. But the person very well know and appreciate Ishvara and his glories, he very well know that he is not separate from the Ishvara. That is going to be talked about by the author, that we will see in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.